This video is about he was a driver until a rich woman gave him a future. If this story inspires you, please like the video, share it with loved ones, and write in the comments how it touched your heart. He was a driver until a rich woman gave him a future. Part 1 In the heart of a bustling city, where skyscrapers pierced the sky and the pulse of life throbbed day and night, there lived a man named Aaron. He was a driver, navigating the chaotic streets, weaving in and out of traffic, finding solace in the rhythm of the engine and the hum of the tires on asphalt. The roar of the city was both his workplace and his prison, a stark reminder of the dreams that had slipped through his fingers like grains of sand. Aaron was in his mid-30s, with a weathered face that told stories of long nights and early mornings. His deep-set eyes held a spark of yearning, a flicker of hope that refused to be extinguished. Most days, he smiled at his passengers, offering them a glimpse of warmth in their hurried lives, even as his own heart carried the weight of unfulfilled ambitions. "Would you today?" he would ask, his voice steady despite the exhaustion that clung to him. He listened to their stories, students rushing to class, business people glued to their phones, tourists excitedly sharing their plans. Each conversation was a reminder of the life he had once envisioned for himself, filled with purpose and passion. Aaron had dreams of becoming a writer. He had filled countless notebooks with poetry and stories, each page a testament to his imagination and spirit. Yet life had other plans. After the sudden death of his mother, he had dropped his aspirations. The weight of responsibility fell on his shoulders, forcing him to take the only job available, driving a cab to make ends meet. One chilly evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Aaron picked up a new passenger, a woman in her late 40s. She had an air of elegance, dressed in a tailored coat that effortlessly exuded sophistication. As he glanced at her in the rearview mirror, he noticed the faint lines of worry etched on her forehead. "Good evening, ma'am. Where to?" he asked, trying to keep the conversation light. "Good evening," she replied, her voice soft yet firm. "The downtown art gallery, please." As they drove through the illuminated streets, Aaron couldn't help but notice the sadness in her eyes. She stared out the window, lost in thought. "It is quite a night, isn't it?" he ventured, hoping to spark a connection. "It is," she said, her gaze still fixed outside. "But sometimes it feels more like a facade, doesn't it?" Aaron nodded, intrigued. "In what way?" She turned to him, her expression shifting. "I run a foundation dedicated to helping artists pursue their dreams, but I often wonder if I am truly making a difference. There is so much talent that goes unnoticed." Her words struck a chord within him. "I used to write," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "Poetry, mostly, but I let it go. I had to take care of things. It is hard to chase dreams when reality hits you like a brick wall." She studied him for a moment, the intensity of her gaze piercing through his defenses. "We all face walls, Aaron. What sets us apart is whether we decide to climb over them or let them define us." Her words hung in the air as they reached the gallery. "Here we are," he said, signaling for her to exit. "Thank you," she replied, handing him a generous tip. "And remember, it is never too late to chase what you love." As she stepped out, something flickered within Aaron. A sense of realization dawned upon him. Perhaps the walls he felt were self-imposed, mere shadows of doubt. Days turned into weeks, but the encounter with the rich woman lingered. He found himself reminiscing about his dreams while driving through the city, the stories of his passengers intertwining with his own. He began to write again, jotting down snippets of conversations and reflections, feeding the flicker of hope that had ignited in him. One evening, while waiting for a fare, he opened his worn notebook and began penning a poem inspired by the woman's words. He wrote about resilience, about climbing walls, and the beauty of dreams. Tears streamed down his face as he felt the weight of his emotions pour onto the pages, a cathartic release that felt both new and familiar. His newfound passion didn't go unnoticed. He began sharing his poetry on social media, often posting snippets that resonated with others. To his surprise, people began reaching out, sharing their own stories of struggle and triumph. It felt good to connect, to encourage, and to remind others that hope was always within reach, no matter how difficult the journey. As November approached, Aaron received a message that would forever change his life. The elegant woman from the cab, named Claire, had stumbled upon his poetry online. She was captivated by his words and wanted to meet him. They arranged to meet at a small cafe. On the day of their meeting, Aaron's nerves danced in his stomach. He wore his best shirt, hoping to present a version of himself that felt worthy. Claire arrived, her presence illuminating the room as she greeted him with a warm smile. "Your poetry is beautiful, Aaron," she said, settling into her seat. It takes courage to share your heart with the world. Thank you, he replied, feeling a mix of pride and vulnerability. I didn't expect anyone to notice. That is the beauty of art. It finds its way to those who need it. Tell me, have you ever thought about publishing your work? Aaron hesitated. I dreamt of it once, but it feels like a distant thought now. I am just a driver. Being a driver doesn't define your worth as a writer. It is just a chapter in your journey. What if I told you I could help you take the next step? His heart raced. Help me? How? I run a foundation that connects aspiring artists with resources. We could organize a small gathering for you to share your work. You deserve to be heard. Aaron sat in stunned silence, the weight of her office settling over him like a warm blanket. You really think people would come? Absolutely. Your words resonate, Aaron. People are searching for authenticity, for connection. Overwhelmed with gratitude, he whispered, "Thank you, Claire. This means more than I can express." As they talked, an undeniable bond formed between them. Claire's kindness and passion inspired him, stirring something deep within. The walls he had built around his heart began to crumble, allowing a sense of belonging to seep in. With Claire as support, Aaron began preparing for his first public reading. He practiced tirelessly, poring over his poems, fine-tuning each word to echo his journey. The night of the gathering arrived, and as he stood in front of a small audience, he felt a mix of excitement and terror. "Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron," he began, his voice steady yet vulnerable. "I am just a driver, but I've rediscovered my passion for writing. I want to share my journey with you." He read his poems, his voice rising and falling with emotion. Each line resonated, touching the hearts of those present. He could see the impact of his words. A woman wiped away tears, a man nodded in agreement. When he finished, a thunderous applause erupted. He felt a surge of hope that filled the room like a warm glow. The audience approached him, sharing their thoughts and stories, and for the first time in years, he felt truly seen. Claire stood by his side, beaming with pride. "You did it, you shared your heart, and look what happened." In that moment, Aaron understood the power of vulnerability. He had crossed the threshold from being a mere driver to a storyteller, weaving threads of connection through his words. As they celebrated that night, he realized that the rich woman who had given him a future was not just Claire, but also the version of himself he had rediscovered. Resilience, hope, and kindness had brought them together, and he knew this was just the beginning of a beautiful journey. Little did he know, life would test him in ways he never expected, but he would face it all with the same spirit that had ignited his passion for writing. The road ahead might be challenging, but with every twist and turn, he felt a newfound strength coursing through him, a promise of brighter days. Thus began the story of his rebirth, a journey filled with love, purpose, connection, and the true essence of what it means to be human. With Claire by his side, the walls he had once feared began to morph into stepping stones, leading him toward a future where dreams were no longer just distant shadows but vibrant realities waiting to unfold. As the city lights twinkled in the distance, Aaron felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude wash over him. Hope was no longer a flicker, it was a blazing fire, illuminating the path ahead, daring him to dream even bigger. And so, he took a deep breath, ready to embrace whatever came next. ***, he was a driver until a rich woman gave him a future. Part 2 ***. As the weeks flowed into months, Aaron embraced his role as a budding writer with open arms. With Claire's encouragement, he began to find his voice, the words pouring from him with a newfound urgency. The cafe where he had read his poetry became a sanctuary, a space that welcomed the dreams of many like him, lost, searching, yet hopeful. Claire frequently attended his readings, her presence a warm beacon of support. The two shared deep conversations, often delving into the intricate tapestry of life's struggles and triumphs. One evening, while sipping coffee amidst the comforting hum of the cafe, Aaron confessed, "I never imagined I would be here, sharing my poetry. It is like I am awakening from a long slumber." Claire smiled knowingly. "You were always meant to do this, Aaron. It just took a nudge sometimes. It is all we need. Your words resonate with so many." "But what if I fail? What if this is just a fleeting moment?" he replied, the weight of self-doubt creeping back in. "Failure is just another step towards success. Remember, every successful person has faced rejection before their breakthrough. It is part of the journey," she encouraged, her voice steady and reassuring. With every gathering, Aaron faced his fears head-on. He learned to embrace the vulnerability that came with sharing his deepest thoughts. But life, as it often does, threw unexpected challenges his way. His cab was involved in a minor accident one rainy evening. While the damage was minimal, the situation rattled him. "I can't afford to miss work," he expressed to Claire later that week, anxiety evident in his voice. "This job keeps the lights on." She placed a reassuring hand on his arm. You've come so far, Aaron. Don't let a setback define you. Let us brainstorm solutions. With her encouragement, he decided to turn the incident into inspiration. That week, he wrote a poem about resilience in the face of adversity. It doesn't matter how hard we fall, he recited. What matters is how we rise, dust ourselves off, and keep moving forward. After posting it online, the poem struck a chord, garnering attention and heartfelt comments. Your words remind me that it is okay to stumble, one reader wrote. Thank you for sharing your journey. But just as hope began to bloom brightly, another storm approached. Claire called him one afternoon, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Aaron, I need to talk to you. It's important. Is everything okay? He asked, concern flooding his chest. I've been given an opportunity to expand my foundation internationally, but it requires a lot of my time. I may not be able to attend your readings as frequently, she confessed, her tone heavy. The knees hit him hard. I understand, Claire, your work is important, but you feel abandoned, she interjected gently. I don't want to be a crutch for you. You are more than capable of standing on your own. He felt his heart drop. I didn't mean to depend on you. It is just you've been my guiding light. Then let your writing be that light. You have a gift, Aaron, she encouraged, her voice filled with warmth. Believe in yourself. He nodded, even though uncertainty settled in his gut. As weeks passed with less of Claire's presence, he felt the sting of loneliness creeping in, the shadows of self-doubt returning to taunt him relentlessly. Each reading felt heavier without her by his side. One evening, steeped in frustration, he wrote a poem titled The Silence Between Us. It captured the distance of missing connection, but also the realization that he had to find strength within himself. Sometimes the silence speaks louder than words, he penned, his tears staining the page. When he shared it online, the response was overwhelming. Readers resonated with the raw emotion behind the verses, and Aaron felt a sense of purpose return. He realized that he wasn't just writing for himself, he was giving voice to the feelings that many felt but couldn't express. He channeled his struggles into his poetry, pouring his heart into the printed word. The CAF readings grew in attendance, with more people drawn to the authenticity of his experiences. Strangers would approach him, sharing their stories of loss and triumph, inspired by his courage. One night, after a particularly successful reading, a woman approached him, her eyes glistening with emotion. Your words touched my heart, Aaron. I lost my mother last year, and I've struggled with finding my way since. Thank you for reminding me it is okay to feel loss. The connection was electric. You are not alone, he assured her. We all face darkness, but we can find our way back into the light. In moments like this, Aaron felt Claire's teachings echo in his heart, guiding him to uplift others. Each story shared was like a thread woven into a collective tapestry of resilience, stitching together hearts in a profound way. Yet, even amidst the growing momentum, he felt Claire's absence keenly. It was during a quiet night, alone with his thoughts, that he wrote a heartfelt message to her. I miss you, Claire. Your belief in me was a gift I cherished. I hope you know that I am trying to stand on my own, but it is hard without you. To his surprise, Claire responded quickly. I am proud of you, Aaron. I may not be physically present, but you carry my spirit with you. You have everything you need within you. Trust that. Reading her words reignited a flame within him. He realized that while Claire had been a guiding light, the true spark had always been within him. He began to see their relationship as a partnership, one where they both lifted each other up, even from afar. Months turned into a year, and Aaron found himself standing on the cusp of something remarkable. He had been invited to speak at a local literary festival, an opportunity he never dared to dream of. Thought was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. On the day of the festival, as he stood backstage, his heart raced. You can do this, he whispered to himself, drawing on the strength he had cultivated. Just then, he felt a hand on his shoulder. It was Claire. I wouldn't miss this for the world, she said, a radiant smile gracing her face. Claire, you came, he exclaimed, relief flooding through him. You are ready, Aaron. Just speak from your heart, she urged. As he stepped onto the stage, the audience filled the expansive room, their faces a sea of anticipation. The world fell away, and all that remained was his passion for storytelling. He began to share his journey, the struggles, the triumphs, and the hope that had illuminated his path. With each word, he connected with the audience, their energy intertwining with his. When he recited his poem "The Silence Between Us," he could see the emotion on their faces, people nodding in understanding, some even wiping away tears. In our silence lies the power to heal, he concluded, the last word hanging in the air. The applause that followed was thunderous, reverberating in his heart like a beacon of acceptance. He felt the warmth of connection, the beauty of shared humanity. After the reading, people flocked to him, sharing heartfelt stories of how his words had impacted their lives. Claire stood nearby, beaming with pride, her presence reminding him that he was never truly alone on this journey. "Thank you for believing in me, Claire," he said, touched by her unwavering support. "You've shown me that hope is a powerful force." "I believed in the potential already inside you, Aaron. You did the hard work," she replied, her eyes glistening with joy. As they embraced, he realized the journey he had embarked upon was not just about his dreams, but about the connections forged along the way. The road ahead continued to twist and turn, but Aaron embraced it with an open heart, the flickering ember of hope now a blazing inferno. He was no longer just a driver, he was a storyteller, a beacon for others lost in the shadows. With every word he penned, he illuminated paths for those still searching for their dreams. And through it all, he held close the lesson he had learned, that true resilience lies not just in the ability to rise after falling, but in the willingness to share our journeys, to connect with others, and to nurture the light within us all. ***, he was a driver until the rich woman gave him a future. Part 3 ***. As the dawn broke over the city, Aaron stood at his window, watching the world awaken. The soft hues of pink and gold painted the sky, filling him with a sense of possibility. He reflected on the last year, a whirlwind of emotions, revelations, and growth. He had transformed from an invisible driver into a voice that resonated with many, yet he still felt an ember of doubt flickering within him. One bright morning, he received an email that caused his heart to race. The local literary festival had invited him to contribute a piece for their annual anthology, a collection celebrating local voices. "This is it," he whispered to himself, his fingers trembling as he opened the email. "They want my story." He rushed to his notebook, eager to pour his thoughts onto the pages. But with excitement came the familiar clutch of fear. What if they don't like it? What if I am not good enough? The doubts crept in like shadows. He could hear Claire's voice in his mind, encouraging him to push through the discomfort. "Just right from your heart," he murmured, channeling her unwavering belief in him. And so he did. He wrote about his journey, the pain of losing his mother, the suffocating weight of responsibility, and the transformative encounter with Claire. He penned the struggles and triumphs entwined in the fabric of his life. For days, he revisited the piece, refining it and layering it with emotion until it felt like an extension of himself. On the day he submitted his piece, a wave of relief washed over him. He had taken a leap, casting his words into the world like a message in a bottle, hoping someone might find it and feel less alone. But life was not done throwing challenges his way. A few days later, as he was driving through the city, he received a call from his landlord. "Darren, I need to talk to you about the rent," the voice over the line said, a hint of urgency lacing the words. "What is the problem?" His heart sank. "I am afraid I have to raise the rent. It is going up about 20%. 20%? That is..." Aaron paused, his mind racing. "That is really high. I don't know if I can manage that." "I understand, but it is my obligation. I wish I could do more, but the expenses have increased on my end too," his landlord replied, the tone final. After hanging up, Aaron leaned back in his seat, gripping the steering wheel tightly. His mind raced with worry. How am I going to afford this? What if I have to move again? The uncertainties piled on, and he felt the familiar weight of despair. That evening, he met Claire for coffee at their favorite cafe, the air filled with the rich aroma of roasted beans. She noticed his troubled expression immediately. "What is going on, Aaron? You look like you've seen a ghost." He sighed, the weight of his struggle spilling out. "I just received news that my rent is going up 20%. I don't know how I'll manage it. I can barely make ends meet as it is." Claire reached across the table, her hand enveloping his. "I am so sorry, Aaron. I can imagine how stressful that must be." Her eyes held a depth of understanding. "Have you considered looking for a new place?" "I don't want to move again, not after everything I've been through. It feels like I am constantly fighting to hold on to stability." "I understand, but you have options, right? You could consider getting a roommate or even finding a part-time gig. Your words are powerful, and they deserve to be heard. You can take this challenge and turn it into something beautiful," she encouraged, her voice unwavering. Aaron leaned back, contemplating her words. "You're right, I can let fear control me. Maybe I could teach a poetry workshop or something." "Exactly, you have so much to offer, Aaron. Plus, you rebuilt a community around your poetry. They would love to learn from you." With Claire as support, he began exploring his options. He posted about offering a local poetry workshop, and within a few days, the response was overwhelming. The cafe that had become a second home offered its space for the sessions, and his heart swelled at the thought of sharing his passion. As the workshop neared, Aaron felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. One evening, after a long day of driving, he opened his notebook, determined to prepare lesson plans. What if they don't show up? What if I have nothing valuable to share? The fears echoed like whispers in a darkened room. But as he wrote, he remembered all the connections he had made through his poetry. He envisioned the faces of those who had approached him after readings, sharing their stories and expressing gratitude. I can do this, he said aloud, the conviction building. I can guide them. The first night of the workshop arrived. As he entered the cafe, he was greeted by a group of eager faces. They ranged from college students to retirees, each person carrying their own dreams, their own stories. The warmth of their smiles filled him with confidence. Welcome, everyone, I am glad you're here, he began, his voice steady. Tonight, we'll explore the power of words and how they can heal, connect, and inspire. He guided them through exercises, encouraging them to share their thoughts and feelings. They wrote poems, laughed, and even shed tears together. Aaron felt the magic of connection weave through the room, igniting the same passion in his participants that Claire had awakened in him. Each session built upon the last, and soon he found himself thriving in this new role. The workshop participants began to share their own poetry with the group, and Aaron felt honored to witness their journeys. He learned just as much from them as they did from him. Then one day, after the workshop, a young woman named Mia approached him, her hands trembling. Aaron, I just wanted to say thank you. Your words have inspired me to start writing again. I stopped after my brother passed away. His heart ached for her. I am so sorry for your loss, Mia. I can't imagine what you've been through, but your voice matters. Every story is important. She nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. I want to share my poem at the next workshop. I hope it is okay. Absolutely, I'd be honored, he replied, a sense of pride swelling within him. The next workshop arrived, and Mia's courage shone bright. As she read her poem, the room fell into a hush, every word resonating with the raw emotion of grief and hope. When she finished, the applause was thunderous, and tears glimmered in the eyes of many. That was beautiful, Mia, Aaron exclaimed, feeling the weight of their collective experience. You have such a gift. Thank you for sharing that with us. Mia smiled shyly, the connection palpable. Thank you for creating this space, Aaron. It is helping me heal. As the weeks turned into months, Aaron found himself juggling his driving job, the workshops, and his writing. The financial strain was still present, but he felt lighter, empowered by the connections he was forging. The community around him became a source of strength, and he found joy in helping others rediscover their voices. Yet, just as he began to feel secure, life threw him yet another curveball. One afternoon, as he drove through the city, he received a call from Claire. Aaron, I have some news, she said, her voice a mixture of excitement and urgency. What is it? I've been given the chance to expand the foundation internationally. It is an incredible opportunity, but it will mean moving away for a while, she confessed. His heart sank. How long will you be gone? At least a year. I didn't want to tell you over the phone, but I thought it was important you hear it from me. I understand. Your work is important, Claire. You've poured so much into this, and you deserve it, he replied, trying to mask the heaviness in his heart. I'll still support you from afar. You've grown so much, Aaron. You don't need me to keep moving forward. Trust that you can do this. As they hung up, the silence enveloped him like a shroud. The thought of losing her guiding presence felt unbearable. Yet, as he drove, he remembered her words. He had come so far. He drew on the strength he had cultivated within himself. Over the next few days, Aaron allowed himself to feel the sadness. He wrote about it, channeling his pain into poetry. The distance between us became a cathartic release, capturing the essence of longing and strength. When he shared it online, the response was instantaneous. Readers poured out their own experiences of loss and distance, and Aaron found solace in the connections formed in the comments. Then, during one workshop, he felt compelled to share his feelings with his participants. I just found out that someone very important to me is moving away. It is hard to let go, but I have to trust that I can keep growing, even if they're not here. A hush fell over the room, and Mia spoke up. You've taught us that we can find strength in ourselves, Aaron. You don't. He was a driver until a rich woman gave him a future. Part 4 The city buzzed with life as Aaron navigated his cab through the familiar streets, but today felt different. The air was thick with anticipation, yet he found himself lost in his thoughts. Claire's news echoed in his mind, a bittersweet melody that tugged at his heart. Her impending move felt like a shadow looming over him, yet the promise of her support lingered like a warm glow in the depths of his soul. As he parked at a red light, he glanced at the pedestrians bustling on the sidewalk. Each one carried their own story, their own struggles and dreams. He thought of Mia and the brave young woman who had shared her poem, igniting a spark in the room. Just a few months ago, he had felt like a ghost, drifting through life without purpose. Now he was a guide, a voice for others, and that realization filled him with pride. But doubt began to seep back in. What if I fail? He whispered to himself. What if I can't do this without Claire? Anxiety prickled at his skin. He felt the weight of uncertainty like a heavy stone in his stomach. Would the community he had built continue to thrive in her absence? Would they still find strength in his words? As he pulled up to his next passenger, he forced a smile, pushing thoughts aside. "Where'd you today?" he asked, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. "Downtown, please," the woman replied, her eyes glued to her phone. He could see the tension in her shoulders, and something within him stirred. As they drove, he caught glimpses of the world outside of people laughing, children playing, and couples holding hands. Life was happening all around him, a beautiful tapestry of human connection. "What is something you really excited about today?" he asked, hoping to spark conversation. The woman looked up, surprise flickering across her face. "That I don't know, I guess just work. I have a big presentation." "Those can be nerve-wracking," Aaron responded, remembering his own moments of vulnerability. "But they can also be opportunities to shine. Just think of it as sharing your story." She glanced at him, her expression softening. "That's a nice way to look at it. I'll try to remember that." As they pulled up to her destination, he felt a sense of fulfillment. Even in the small moments, he realized the power of connection. With every interaction, he planted seeds of hope, just as Claire had done for him. Later that evening, he found himself at the cafe, surrounded by the familiar faces of his workshop participants. The room buzzed with laughter and chatter, a warm and inviting atmosphere. He took a deep breath, feeling the energy of the space wrap around him like a comforting embrace. "Hey, Aaron!" May called out as she approached him, her eyes bright with excitement. "I've been working on a new poem. I can't wait to share it tonight." "That is fantastic, Mia. I am looking forward to hearing it," he replied, his heart swelling with pride for her progress. As the workshop began, he felt a surge of purpose. He welcomed everyone, his voice steady, the nerves from earlier melting away. "Tonight, we're going to dive into the theme of resilience. How do we keep moving forward when life throws challenges our way?" A man in the back raised his hand. "I think it is about finding strength within ourselves, but how do we even start?" "That is a great question," Aaron said, nodding. "For me, it began with sharing my story. Writing allowed me to process my emotions and connect with others. Sometimes, it is about being vulnerable and recognizing that we're not alone in our struggles." Mia spoke up, her tone earnest. "I used to feel so lost, but through writing, I found a way to express my grief. It is like every word is a step toward healing." As the conversation flowed, he felt a sense of unity among the group. They shared not just their poems, but their heart stories of loss, aspiration, and the journey of rediscovery. Would anyone like to share what resilience means to them? He encouraged, his heart racing with anticipation. One by one, hands raised. Each voice shared fragments of their lives' losses that had shaped them, dreams that had been deferred but not extinguished. As Mia recited her new poem, Phoenix Rising, the room fell silent. Her words danced like embers in the air, igniting hope in the hearts of those listening. "From the ashes, we rise anew, with every tear, strength to pursue. In shadows deep, we find our light. Together we are warriors ready to fight." As she finished, the room erupted in applause. Tears shimmered in her eyes, and Aaron felt a surge of pride wash over him. "That was beautiful, Mia. You have a gift that can touch so many lives." The workshop culminated with a sense of camaraderie. As participants gathered in small groups, sharing feedback and encouragement, Aaron marveled at how far they had all come. And in that moment, the fear of losing Claire's guidance began to dissipate. He realized that the community they had built together would continue to thrive, fueled by their collective resilience. Yet, as the weeks rolled on, Aaron's heart still ached for Claire. They exchanged messages regularly, but it wasn't the same. He missed her warmth, her laughter, and the light she brought into his life. One evening, as he sat with his notebook, he began to write a letter to her, pouring out his feelings. "Dear Claire, it is hard not having you here. I miss our conversations. your encouragement, but I am trying to stand on my own. I've learned so much this year, and I know I can keep going, but I wish you were here to celebrate with me." When he finished, he sealed the letter but hesitated before sending it. Would it feel like a burden? As he contemplated, he recalled Claire's words, "You are more than capable of standing on your own." With newfound courage, he hit send, feeling a mixture of relief and vulnerability wash over him. Days later, he received a reply that brought tears to his eyes. "Dear Aaron, I am so proud of you. I may be far away, but my heart is always with you. Your strength is inspiring, and I believe in you more than you know. Keep sharing your light with the world. I can't wait to hear about all the amazing things you're doing." He smiled as warmth filled his heart. Claire's unwavering belief in him was a constant reminder that he was capable of so much more than he realized. She had ignited the flame within him. Now he had to keep it burning. Emboldened by her words, he continued to pour his heart into his poetry and workshops. But life had another test waiting for him. As the summer sun began to set, he received a call from his landlord again. "Aaron, I am afraid I have more bad news. The building is being sold, and we'll need to vacate in 60 days. Panic gripped him. "What do you mean sold? I can't afford to move again. I've just started to feel at home here. I understand that it's tough, but I can change the situation. I wish I had better news," the landlord replied sympathetically before they hung up. Aaron's heart raced as despair washed over him. "Why does everything feel like a constant uphill battle?" he murmured, frustration bubbling within him. That evening, he sat in his favorite cafe staring into the distance. The laughter of patience filled the air, but he felt alone, adrift in a sea of uncertainty. "What now?" he whispered to himself, struggling to keep the flicker of hope alive. A gentle voice broke his thoughts. "Aaron, you look like you could use some company." It was Mia, her smile brightening the dim light of the cafe. "Hey, Mia, I am just dealing with some news." He sighed, the weight of his worry spilling out. "I have to move again. My landlord sold the building, and I don't know what to do." Her expression shifted to one of understanding. "I am so sorry. That is a lot to take in." She sat down across from him, concern etched on her face. "But if you face challenges before and turn them into something beautiful, you'll find a way." "Maybe," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "But it feels like I am just treading water, and I am exhausted." "You're not alone in this. We're here for you," Mia reassured him. "And you have your poetry. What if you wrote about this? That might help." He nodded slowly, the idea taking root. "I could channel this frustration into something creative. That's what I've always done." As he began to write that evening, he felt the words flow like a river, the ink spilling onto the pages as he poured out his heart. "In the chaos, I find my peace. As I write, my troubles cease. Through the storms, I learn to grow. Each line a seed, each word a glow." When he shared it with the workshop participants the following week, he felt a sense of liberation. The room buzzed with energy as they discussed their own struggles and triumphs, each person reminding him